Oftentimes people will describe burnout as, I go in the office and I try to conjure up some energy and there's no love. The things I used to love about going to work is not there. And I'm having to force myself to do those things. I'm putting on a smiley face and I really feel like, I'm just done.
This is
And a
the
friend of
burnout
mine,
smiley face, by the way.
I'm sorry, say that again.
This is the burnout smiley face.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's that fake pretense of fake it till you make it. But really there's nothing left.
Welcome to MetaGagement, the HR show that dives deep into the heart of employee engagement and workplace culture. Your hosts, Ann Scottlin and Dr. Lyman Montgomery, bring you a groundbreaking show that explores innovative strategies and insights to transform and elevate your organization's HR practices. Dr. Montgomery is an employee engagement expert and best-selling author, while Ann Scottlin is an acclaimed business consultant and podcaster. Together, they will unpack the complexities of modern HR challenges and reveal innovative solutions that can be immediately applied to your workplace. Please welcome Ann Scottlin and Dr. Lyman Montgomery.
Hi, and welcome back to MetaGagement-HR, the show for MetaGagement professionals. That's because you're HR professionals. And this is my co-host, Dr. Lyman Montgomery. Hi, Lyman.
Hello, how are you doing, Ann?
I am great. Got some great outdoor physical activity today, so I've got all this extra energy to burn.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
So this is exciting, Lyman, because today we're back to wrap up a series that has been very popular, which is how to cure disengagement and burnout at work. One of our episodes in this 4-part series doubled or tripled our normal viewership. So I'm really happy that this is resonating with people and that they are diving in and sending us messages to say how it's helping them. And if you are new to our program, real quick, this is what MetaGagement-HR is all about. We're really about helping you in the HR community or in any part of your business community, but in particular the HR community, foster resilience and adaptability. And we really help you grow by bringing fresh innovation and neuroscience-backed approaches to the HR conversation. And Lyman, remind us a little bit of what we have already gone over in the previous episodes.
Yeah, in the previous episodes, we talked about how to promote work-life balance at work, fostering a positive work environment, as well as how to enhance employee well-being, taking into account not just physical, but also mental health, and also how to improve communication and feedback. So definitely go back if you didn't listen to those or watch those episodes. Go back there, just a lot of information packed in each episode.
Absolutely. So yeah, do that. If you click in the notes on most of the platforms that you're watching or listening on today, you'll see our playlist. So you can pop back and check those out or any of the many other episodes that we have there. And while you're over there, please do like, subscribe, shoot us a message, share this link with someone who would just love hanging out with us for a few minutes, talking about how to make life better, how to make teams better, how to avoid burnout. You can't beat that. So we have a lot of fun on this program. And so we're looking forward to doing that with all of you again today. But burnout, as we get to this, burnout problem one last time in this series, we've talked about disengagement, how it leads to burnout, how they're both separate and similar. And burnout is really that chronic workplace stress. Many of us have experienced it in our life. Exhaustion, cynicism, inability to concentrate, reduced efficiency. This is kind of what burnout looks like. And just before we get going, Lyman, how do you recognize burnout in yourself? And also, how do you recognize it in others?
Yeah, it's that feeling of overwhelm, that chronic overwhelm, where you feel like there's nothing left to give. Oftentimes, people will describe burnout as, I go in the office and I try to conjure up some energy and there's no love. The things I used to love about going to work is not there. And I'm having to force myself to do those things. I'm putting on a smiley face, and I really feel like, I'm just done.
This is
And a
the
friend of
burnout
mine,
smiley face, by the way.
I'm sorry, say that again.
This is the burnout smiley face.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's that fake pretense of fake it till you make it, but really there's nothing left. And I said in the last episode that oftentimes people don't burn out, organizations burn them up
Mhm,
because of the added work, lack of resources, lack of clarity, which we're going to talk about today,
mhm,
and a lack of a support system, both at work and oftentimes at home, that leads to disengagement, which, if disengagement is not corrected, will
mhm,
lead to burnout. But I often believe that most people don't necessarily burn out. We burn them up before they burn out.
mhm, mhm. And I think, and it's important even for those in leadership, whether they're HR professionals or management, whatever you are, to also recognize it in yourself. Because we mentioned also on an earlier episode, leading by example is always the very best
Yes.
way to lead. You can't expect all your team to be healthy and have healthy behaviors when you aren't setting that tone. I know for me, periodically when I hit burnout, and usually, fortunately for me, it's usually a short term kind of burnout. Uh, for me, it feels like, you know, when you're getting on the interstate, you're merging, you're in your car, and you're getting on the on ramp, and you look over your left shoulder, and you see that 18 wheeler coming up right behind. I either have to slam on the brakes or I have to just really go. So for me, burnout is seeing that 18 wheeler coming and I step on the gas and nothing happens. You're just
There's
like,
nothing, yeah, there's nothing there in the fuel tank.
and you're stuck, right?
Yeah. And that's a horrible place to be in, is where you're pumping the gas, and it's almost like the little choo choo. I know I can. But the problem is you're stuck in a hole and your tires are just spinning, or you're almost like you putter out where you're just going on momentum. But guess
Yeah.
what? You're going downhill is great, but there's another hill coming, and you might make it up the hill. And you're just praying and hoping. Just let me get to the top of the hill so I can gain some more momentum to carry me down. After a while, guess what? Those peaks and valleys, there's just nothing left, and you're going to fizzle out.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really good, as you said, before you fizzle out, to recognize the signs. And we have a variety of things to chat about today that is really going to help you in finding those solutions to burnout. As you know, metagagement is really about using advanced engagement strategies to help you and your team overcome or prevent. We always prefer prevention over the cure, right? Whenever that is possible. So, and briefly, here's the four main points we're going to go over today. One is aligning roles to strengths to help prevent burnout, setting clear expectations, offer cross training to build versatility, and gather honest feedback. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to want to hear what each of those is about because we have some really specific suggestions. But first of all, just aligning roles to strengths. When you see your team burning out when they have a new project and they already look exhausted and they haven't even had a chance to start on the new project yet, and there's just this drained look and no energy, how can we start by aligning roles to strengths?
Yeah, one suggestion that I strongly recommend is there should always be continuous innovation to match the employee's duties with what they're good at. Oftentimes, especially in management, we're always looking for stretch projects. Well, I know you don't know how to do it, but we want to stretch you. Well, a rubber band can only go so far before it breaks. And sometimes part of that burnout is that individuals have been stretched almost to their breaking point. And sometimes we need to stop looking at stretch program projects and look for strength projects,
Mhm,
assigning something that they're absolutely good at or great at, something I really think about. Um,
mhm,
Maybe giving them a price. Say, listen, asking this question. I know you're extremely good at networking. Why don't you put together a networking event where people can kind of share ideas with each other? And that will allow that person suffering overwhelm, leading to burnout, to feel energized because they're playing to their strength and
Mhm.
not just simply being stretched.
And I love that, playing to their strengths. And so many of us know and have used, assessments about individual strengths and unique characteristics. And we've talked more about that. And we even have meta-engagement assessments that people can use if that's what they're looking for. Um, but it even goes beyond strengths to encompass interests. And I
Yes,
think this is where that step, whereas everything meta, go above, go beyond, exceed, this is where you can really go meta. Instead of just doing the strength training, which can give you one set of data, right? No problem with that. But what about saying, what is it that you really love to do? Now, some people absolutely love spreadsheets. I hate them. Some people, my husband, for example, he's in a different kind of job entirely. He loves spreadsheets. He offers to do spreadsheets for me. I'm like, this is absolutely amazing because there is literally nothing I would rather do than a spreadsheet. So, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm really, really good at. So if something gets someone really excited, that means that they're going to have that natural energy we talk about to complete the task. So if you
yes,
give me one spreadsheet, I can do it. Obviously, I'm capable of doing it. But I could give John 5 spreadsheets to do today, and he'd have them done in an hour. So you see, because not only is it just fun, it's him building stuff and putting it together, and he enjoys it. Where I could be doing some other kind of activity that really gets me motivated and excited. So everyone's using their fuel towards the best purpose. So there's
yes.
less of the spinning tires and doing things that are just really, that you hate or that just don't motivate you. Now, we can't all get out of doing everything, but it's sure a value to identify what I like to call your employees' intrinsic motivation.
That's good. That's very good. That reminds me of one of my mentees that I kind of mentor and coach. And he contacted me and he said, "Hey, coach," he said, "I've been pondering this question." And I love, talking about philosophy. He says, "I've been trying to figure out what does the word meaning have as it relates to life, the meaning of life." And we sat there for literally 45 minutes talking about something he's very interested in, and that is, what is the meaning of life? Is there a difference between life and living? And so, again, sometimes it doesn't have to be necessarily a work project. Sometimes it can be a conversation that your employees have an interest in, whether it's sports, whether it's philosophical stoicism or history or something, but something. I love what you said, not just their strength, but also their interests. I think that's very powerful.
Yes, and I really feel like I missed out on that conversation you had with your mentee because you know me, that would have been an absolute blast. Bring up some philosophy. Come on, let's go. So, in addition to aligning roles to strengths and interests, which I call, identifying that intrinsic motivation of your employees, the people on your team. Our second point is to set clear expectations. That seems so obvious, but when you
But
hear people
oftentimes we
asking
we
a lot of
forget it.
questions right out of the gate, it means the expectations usually weren't very clear, wouldn't you say?
Yes, unclear expectations will set you up for failure every single time. And how do you know when you have unclear or unmet expectations? You get that deer in the headlights when you bring something up and said, did you understand what I've asked you to do? And they kind of say, well, I thought you meant. There should not be a moment of I thought, I understood, I assumed. When you have clear expectation, it will lead to achievable goals.
Absolutely. When it's very clear. And I think some of those very simple tips that we've often learned along our way, which is like having the other person repeat back to you, not
Yeah.
in a, you know what, we're not trying to make people feel moronic here. We're just saying, can you restate to me in your own words, like how this is, just so that I know I've done my job? Can you just repeat back to me in your own words what you understand as the expectations? You can make it fun. You can make it light. It doesn't have to be, did you hear everything I said? I want you to repeat it back to me. Right?
Yeah.
You can just like, I don't do my job well. I want you to do your job well. We're all here to do the job well and help each other. So let's just make sure things are very, very, very clear. And then also, I see so many projects get off to push button go the end, as opposed
Hmm.
to regularly updating those goals, regularly reviewing the performance metrics, right, based on real time data and feedback, going in there every day, every week, every month, depending on how long the project is, to test and connect on it, in particular as a team, whether that's in a virtual setting or in person, to update those goals. Because here's the thing: when you have 10 team members, if you have 10 pieces moving independently, they're all going to find their own way, right? You know those fireworks that do the
Yes.
spinning things? They're all going to find their own path. So at some point, what started here is kind of going to be all over here, even if things are going well. So when we bring that back and say, let's realign, let's make sure that all our metrics match up so that no
Hmm.
one is wasting. I don't want Jeffrey over here to spend 2 weeks full time working on this part of the project when someone else has already decided that isn't necessary.
That is absolutely amazing that you said that, because we spend a lot of what I call wasted time
Mhm.
doing things that really don't add value. They don't move the organization. They don't move the project along. It's just busy work for the sake of busy work.
Yeah, busy work for
Excuse me.
busy work. Bless you. Yeah, busy work for busy work. And so much unnecessary work is done because it's lack of regularly updating the goals and performance metrics. So going back and analyzing, don't just push play and hope for the end result that the big boss asked for. You have to check in. For example, if you're doing bi-weekly check-ins with individuals on your team, whether you're using some of our tools from MetaGagement or other neuroscience backed skills, you can coach that person around their particular tasks and priorities and really help them feel supported and capable. The worst is being assigned something that feels overwhelming and not feeling like you have the skills to fulfill the job. That is a
Yeah.
horrible,
Yeah.
horrible feeling. It's like you're set up for failure before you even got a chance to try. And I've seen
That
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 happen.
reminds me not only the that you talk about the skills that a person needs, but also the support that they need.
Mhm.
Oftentimes I've seen and we've coached HR professionals that say, I have the skill set to do the job, but boy, it would be great if I had a real caring support system. And
Mhm.
the key words there is support and systems. And when you have the skills plus the support plus a system, you can accomplish some amazing things in less times, because you're not carrying 100% of the load up the hill. But you can share that burden with your team, get feedback, and sometimes it might be a different perspective of doing the work, rather than, oh, I'm just going to, attack this project head on. Well, maybe there's a better way of doing it. But if
Mhm.
you don't have the support, then you're going to continuously just continue just beating against the door, hitting your head against the wall, trying to break through, when the truth of the matter is a simple phone call, a simple email could have saved you a lot of headaches, a lot of time, and a lot of wasted energy.
Absolutely. Something that simple, they can give you the support. You don't want to feel like those. Why do they still use those inflatable, like neon people in front of the tire stores? And they're like this, and they're like
Yes.
grumpy and they fall over. I mean, that's what it feels like when you're assigned something and you don't have any support at all. You're just sort of, you're utilizing all this energy and kind of going nowhere. So, wow, so much more to come. We are already at our time for our quick commercial break. So, before you go to break, please give us a quick like, send us a message, tell us how you love the show or what your question might be that we could address for you. And and like or share this link with someone else who might love hanging out with us here today. You're here watching or listening to MetaGagement, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to elevate your team and organizational effectiveness? Dive into the focused Meta Mindset 5 Persona Types Architecture Assessment and discover your unique superpower as a leader or team member. Whether you're a fearless cheerleader, diligent construction worker, calculating chess player, commanding commander, or analytical chemist, this journey of self-discovery will highlight your strengths, sharpen your focus, and propel you towards success. This isn't just a quiz, it's your pathway to unlocking and embracing the potential that will transform your organization. Ready to find out your persona type? Head over to metagagement.com to take the assessment now.
Welcome back. You are listening to and/or watching MetaGagement-HR today. This is Dr. Lyman Montgomery, myself, and Scottlin. And we're here with part 2 of our episode today, which is the last of our 4-part series, How to Cure Disengagement and Burnout at Work. And today we're specifically addressing the problem of burnout. We're looking at ways to improve job fitness and role clarity. We've talked about how you can align roles to strengths, how setting clear expectations is really vital, and ways you can do that. And another way to combat or help prevent burnout is to offer cross training to really build versatility. What does that look like, Lyman?
Yeah, fostering adaptability by equipping employees with diverse skill sets. Also, you mentioned interest early on. I've seen this work quite well where you have a person that may not have the skill set, but they have an interest.
Mm.
And let's say for negotiations, contract negotiation, a person, I've always wanted to find out, how do contracts get approved? And that might be a great opportunity to take someone and say, hey, why don't you shadow with our, chief union negotiator or contract or procurement officer and kind of learn how we go about doing negotiations, contract reviews, things of that, policy reviews. And that's a great way to cross train, to learn a new skill set. Sometimes people think in order to learn something new, I have to take an advanced course, maybe go back to college and get an advanced degree or certification. Sometimes you could just do on-the-job training to develop that versatility to learn a new skill set.
And there's a lot of opportunities, I think, for all companies to look at, creating some innovative cross-training programs, integrating that into part of the HR or greater experience, right? For example, we were talking about how one could create a rotational program. So you could have your employees spend a few months in different departments, and it doesn't even have to be a few months. It could be part-time. It could be one day a month, one day a week, but just in those departments to kind of saturate in that environment and broaden their scope, help them understand the cause and effect of the different parts of the company, and really develop more resilience when they're facing change at their normal desk, right?
Yeah, and this was a problem we saw coming out of COVID, is that people only knew one job. And so when people came back, those that did return back to the workplace, and they said, oh, well, we need A, B, C, and D. And they're like, well, I only know how to do A. The person who did B opted not to return. And the person did C only knows part of C. And so now you have this mismatch of talent and skills, and they're scrambling trying to figure out, okay, something as simple as, well, how do we figure out how to do a particular function? Because Mary was the only one that did that function. Mary retired. Mary decided not to return. Now we got to figure out how to do Mary's job plus our own job while we're in the process of hiring someone to replace Mary.
it can get really complicated really fast. So no, this is really great. And it's also when we think of a team or the company as a whole, it really is, I think this goes very MetaGagement for us here, but almost as a whole, we're all interactive. We're all one
Yes.
giant organism working towards the same thing. So in the body, if one piece or one cell group begins to fail, often there's another area that will pick up for that until it's either recovered or regenerated or healed. So kind of knowing and having that ability to kind of get into your departmental and corporate DNA, if you will, and figure out how you can support those parts, even if it's not where you're normally sitting, is such a vital way to build versatility.
And
And
part of the
yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and I was just going to say, and lastly, because I know our time is just flying today. Lastly, in supporting that, we really want to gather honest feedback from all the things that we're talking about, from the expectations, from aligning roles to strengths, from offering that cross training, helping build versatility, and we can do this in a wide variety of ways, but as simple as just regular surveys, right?
Yeah. I mean, surveys are so important. What I was going to say is that the reason that a lot of times people only know how to do their job, there was this old adage of job security. If I'm the only one that knows how to do this particular job, they have to keep me around because no one else knows how to do it. And I'm not willing to share. You've heard people say, well, I'm not going to train somebody to do my job, and then they decide they don't need me. Well, we got to get out of this fear-based mentality and going back to what you were saying earlier about being a team and understanding that if you know how to do a number of different jobs, it makes you more valuable to the company than someone that only knows how to do one thing. I would rather support someone that can do several different things to help move the company forward than someone who is a one-trick pony, as it were. They can only do one thing, refuse to cross-train, refuse to learn anything else, and they set back on their laurels and say, well, you hired me to do this. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not willing to train. I'm not willing to stretch. I don't have any other interest. This is what I want to do. That person will set you up for failure time and time again. And we saw that again coming out of COVID.
And what's so fascinating, especially in the smaller business environment, is often it's those personalities, those characters in the company who are depended upon as anchors for the business.
Yes.
Not realizing that they're really hijacking the whole ship. So helping people find, and I think it's less threatening when we do what we talked about earlier, which is aligning roles to strengths.
Yes.
My
And
personal
yes.
preference is that roles don't ever stay static. Even if you are still the head of this or of XYZ, things should be changing. Things should be coming off your plate to someone else's plate who's either, who can do the busy work for you or might be better at doing spreadsheets, and other things from other people should be coming onto your plate. It becomes more of a sharing environment and less of that like one and done. And that's all we do.
Yeah. And you mentioned something that's real interesting as far as your husband loving to do spreadsheets. And you can give him 5 of them, you can knock them out in an hour. Okay. Also understand that there might be someone who may not necessarily enjoy doing spreadsheets. They're just very good at it out of necessity. And we keep asking them to do spreadsheets because we're like, well, that's what they're good at. But we never took the time to say, do you really enjoy doing this? Because oftentimes, because a person is competent in a thing, doesn't mean they necessarily get joy from doing that thing.
Right. Joy in the job. I think we even addressed that somewhere back in the series a little bit, touched on it before. It's like, oh, what are you supposed to get back from your job? Well, you get paid, don't you? So do your job. Well, that's not going to be a super efficient model when you can capitalize on people's preferences, strengths, joys, and no one's ever going to be perfectly happy. But the more we can be aware, the more we can listen, we ask questions, do surveys, do assessments, find out what makes people tick, and make it fun for them. It shouldn't be just this miserable drudgery for them to go through some of the trainings. That's part of what we are about, which is going meta. MetaGagement means it's not just like, oh my goodness, one more thing, right? It's like, let's make this fun. Let's have a good time. Let's get to know each other better, and let's find out how we can support each other better. Well, we have to wrap up already. And we already touched on briefly, getting that honest feedback, those surveys, make it anonymous when you want to make sure you're getting the accurate responses you need whenever that's possible, given what you're trying, the data you're trying to compile. You can use something simple, even monthly pulse surveys using AI. Identify patterns that are emerging within the company and take action on the feedback you get. This is a huge sore spot of mine. I'm going to see really quick because we only have a few seconds here to finish. But I've seen so many surveys conducted, and the feedback just sits in someone's in basket for years. It is such a waste. It is the biggest waste you can make. So make sure that feedback is treated like gold, because it's just, if these were your customers, do you think you would care about the feedback? Well, if you're a strong company, of course you would. Just because it's your team members, your employees, oh, whatever, we'll just read it later. We just went through the motions. HR told us we had to do these stupid survey things, right? No, you need to take account of those things. Realize that's valuable. Take visible action that addresses the concerns and suggestions that the people in your space have made.
I agree 100%.
Well, thank you all for being with us here today. We have to wrap up so quick, but we've had so much fun. And thank you for being with us on this whole journey here on MetaGagement-HR, talking about how to cure disengagement and burnout at work. Today was about job detox, defining role clarity to help cure burnout. And as we've asked earlier, please like and subscribe. Shoot us your questions. Join us every week. We're streaming here Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 8 a.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. GMT. And next time we're going to start a new series. I think you're going to love this one. It's always a fascinating subject to me. Dealing with toxic employees. Whoa, we could have so many stories. Send yours in if you have one. Send in an example or a suggestion or a question scenario. We would love to hear from you. Go to our website, MetaGagement-HR.com, and check it out. And part 1 is going to be identifying the toxic employee. You may have some suggestions for us. Please like, subscribe. Thank you, Dr. Lyman Montgomery, and we'll see you all next time.
Take care. Goodbye.